Hey, welcome along to the Strategy and Conversions podcast. I'm Jamie Michael Joseph. As always, I'm joined by Mark Tanner. And this episode of the podcast is actually really special. Mark, we haven't discussed this, but it's episode 26.
Oh, yeah, of course it is.
This is special to me, right? Because I remember we spoke about this. 26, we've been doing the podcast every week.
Yeah.
Which means 26 weeks. That's half a year. Half a year that we've been doing this podcast now.
Incredible. I didn't realize either until you just mentioned it. I know we talked, because we said, episode 25 last week, and I just sort of thought, it's going to be 26, and I completely forgot about it. But yeah, 6 months. My God.
What we've been doing with our lives, eh?
I know.
It's just crazy. But, again, I know we spoke about this a few times actually on the podcast, but we started the podcast just because we were saying, look, we're having these chats and we're covering some great ground. We're helping each other, and other people could benefit from this.
Absolutely, it was, wasn't it? Because we were talking. I remember we used to talk. We were talking one day. We were talking about 2 or 3 times a week, and it was just every time we just had ideas, and I knew things were sparking up, and like you said, it was just that this is gold dust for some people. This would really help people to understand where they are in their marketing and how they can put things into practice that's going to move them on. So it's just kind of, again, it comes back to that thing that sharing knowledge and just inspiring others to take action where they may have been frightened to, but to sort of standing back thinking, oh God, that's a bit of a scary thing to do.
I think that's it. There's a good amount of information out there that talks about overwhelm, and there's so much out there to kind of get through and stuff. But I think there's also the other side to it. Like you said, is people kind of maybe a bit nervous or frightened to take the next step or do something, even though they want to.
Yeah.
And it's just like, sometimes you just need to listen to a few people talk about it.
That's right.
A couple of people talk about it. And then it's just like, well, actually, it isn't that bad. I can do that, Well, like you said, I mean, the conversations we used to have as well is where, we were looking at our own businesses.
Exactly right.
Like, okay, look, this is what I'm trying to do now. This is what is working. This is what isn't working. What do I need to change and stuff like that? And, we've kind of carried that on through some of the podcasts with talking about ways in which people can, leverage what they're doing or make things work better. But just with us as well, I mean, look how things have changed within the 6 months. I mean, we did it just as a bit of a hobby and helping people. Then we got people asking for help, individually and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We were like, okay, let's put something together.
And it was just going to be something, wasn't it, at first? And then we put loads of stuff together.
You know what? I was talking to someone where we're just going through, obviously, what we are offering right now. And we've got the Momentum Builder bundle, and there's all kinds of stuff. And I'm not even going to go into detail. Definitely check it out, though. It's amazing.
Yeah.
They were just saying, like, I can't believe you have all this stuff for this price. And it's like, do you know what? We went all in. We just said, look, if we're going to do this, we're going to make a difference. And that's why, look, our platform, we've got live training that goes on with group coaching, mentoring, instructing, all that kind of stuff. We've got on-demand training. We've got messaging platforms for people that need support. We've got community, all this stuff built in that you can just get on the app, on our app and stuff like that. Within 6 months, we didn't even start this 6 months ago. We started it about 3 months ago.
Yeah.
But to have all that now in place within that short period of time, it just goes to show what a bit of consistency and a bit of effort can achieve. And
do you know what's amazing for me? And probably, I guess, for you as well, was amazing for me was that we just started this whole thing going. We were just creating stuff. And then I had that heart attack, and I just suddenly thought, oh, it's going to end even before it started. And I was really just thinking, well, is that it? And it was coming back from that was obviously difficult for, it had its challenges coming back from that. But it's the fact that even though we had the time off that I had to take, we still managed to get. I know that you held the ship for a long time yourself.
Oh, this is it, but that's the good thing, though, isn't it? I mean, that there, I can remember actually is such a good topic, because obviously that happened, and like I said, I think I even mentioned this in a podcast before. It's like, first of all, I was like, I hope he's all right.
Yeah.
And then the second thought was, well, that's throwing a spanner in the works.
Yeah,
for what we're doing,
Yeah.
And it's not, and I think what the kind of big thing there is that I knew how powerful this is with us together.
Yeah.
I know what we bring to the table separately. I mean, we've been doing it for years.
Yeah.
We know what we bring, but we know when we combined it is that, wow, it just takes it onto a different level.
It does.
And that's why it's like, we kind of had that confidence going into it, going, well, yeah, let's put this together, let's put that together because we can deliver it. And then obviously that happened, and it was like, okay, maybe if Mark can't continue, then I need to change this and change that. But I think a big thing that came out of that is not just for you, but for me also, is you kind of just realize that, well, look, anything can happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
So look, let's do it now.
Exactly. That's the other thing, isn't it? It's and that brings on so many things for other people, because I was in that position before the heart attack, and before we actually decided to do this. And I know that you'd been doing I know you'd been talking about putting stuff onto YouTube and podcasting for a long time, and it was all that kind of thing. And I remember there's so many decisions I kept saying, oh, I won't do that now. I'll do that next week. I'll do that. I'll think about that next week. And then all of a sudden the heart attack came, and I'm in hospital thinking, if I put that into place now, I wouldn't be worried about the stuff that was going on and falling apart around me. And it just, as you said, it just makes you think that, right, okay, we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. So instead of prevaricating, which so many people do, and maybe taking 2 years to do something that, like in our case, would actually take 4 months. Let's just do it. Let's just get on and do it. And there's a bit of hard work involved. Of course there is. But there is always hard work, isn't there?
And that's exactly it. There's a great post that I seen a picture or a meme or something like that on social media, and it says, "Getting rich is hard, but being broke is hard also."
Yeah, exactly.
So just choose your hard. It's like, you know what? It is exactly that.
Yeah.
And I think as well that a big thing there is we've said before. Look, we've known each other for quite a while. We've worked with each other on different projects, and we've probably had several conversations over the past 4 years where we've spoke about doing something, and we never really got around.
Never did it. I know. Yeah.
And then all of a sudden we just went, yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it.
And like I said, within 4 months, it's like, well, look, we've got a completely different business with a platform that, to me, just it isn't being beat by anyone.
No,
we've got everything there, and we've got services there that really make a change and help people. It's like, that whole kind of thing, like we talked about before, is that we can offer a service, but also give the people the support that they need. Also help them along the way, rather than just saying, well, look, here's something, come back to us once you've done that. And then they're sat there going, I don't really know what to do. It's like, well, we've got everything in place just to get them to that next step that when we do speak with them next or whatever, we can then move on to the next stage. And it's like just stuff like that. I mean, we've put that in place so quick, but it's not. But it's not been done in a way that it's been rushed or anything like that. We've sat down and planned it out and gone, okay, look, this is what we want to put in place. Well, let's put it in place.
Exactly. And I think that's the thing, isn't it? It's like what we were talking about in different podcasts and on the webinars we had, isn't it? All about the planning. The planning is essential. And even though the plans change, because they do, I mean, plans will never be the same. I was sort of creating an email about this as well today, and it's when you plan something. If you planned something last month, it's planned on the knowledge and awareness that you have at that time. Now, in a month, massive things change, and so you're aware. So when you look at the plans again, you think, right, okay, I missed that. We need to change this. We need to move the plans around, because your awareness has moved on and your knowledge of what's going on in the world has moved on. I mean, look at those the poor buggers in La Palma. I mean, they didn't, we woke up one day and their world was literally gone.
Crazy.
So any kind of planning there has gone out the window. But there's pandemics, as we've seen. There's all sorts of things that are going on. The
whole fuel thing,
fuel shortage. I mean, who saw that happening? Well, obviously some people thought about it, but you woke up you woke up on that Friday and all of a sudden there was no fuel. Bang, and you suddenly think, hang on, what's happening here? Nothing in the supermarket, and it's just it's a crazy time we're going in. So things are changing dramatically and very quickly. So plans, it's so important to plan, But once you've planned, you've got to be looking at those constantly, looking time and time again, saying, okay, what has changed? Are these still okay? Or do I need to revisit and revise it and see whether this is still viable? Because we've done this. We've found certain products that we thought, maybe that's not quite right. Maybe we need to change it to this. And that's what we've done.
Yeah, I mean, and we've saved ourselves some big mistakes by doing it.
Yeah,
you know? And there's probably been stuff that maybe could have worked out, but we decided against it and stuff like that. But I think that this is the big thing here, is quite rightly, like you said, is look, you put plans in place because we go through this in all our kind of training and stuff, is that we need an end destination.
Yeah,
if we don't have the end destination, we're not going anywhere. We're just going around in circles. But obviously, that trip, that kind of that road or whatever it is that we're going on, that direction, it can change to get us to the end destination. And I think that this is something that really, not to big ourselves up or anything like that, but what sets us apart from, I guess, kind of general kind of marketing stuff, where we talk about strategic marketing and planning stuff out and having the right kind of infrastructure in place, is that when plans do change or something comes up like a pandemic or like the fuel shortage or anything, is that we still have that clarity, that confidence, and that courage through our knowledge and experience.
Yeah,
that we can adapt and we can change and still stay on course. Rather than panic and go, oh no, look, this has happened. What do we do now? Let's just give up. Which happens quite a lot. You'll be surprised.
But it does, and that's where people. That is where some businesses fail, but that's where so many businesses take a huge fall into a huge trough until they manage to come out, is because they haven't. If you've planned well enough, and you, as you said, you got the clarity, and you know what you're doing. You've got the confidence of going what you're doing, the courage to put yourselves out there, and things change. Like for example, if YouTube just disappeared overnight, okay, there's podcast. How are we going to do it? We still have the clarity that we're going to be doing this. So we'd find a way. You find a way because you suddenly go, okay, what are our options? As opposed to just thinking, oh, that's it, it's gone. We can't do anything now. And and a lot of businesses, a bit like rabbits in headlights, they see these bright headlights in front of them and they stop because they don't know what to do. They don't know about actually running off the side of the road out of the way, and then maybe running back onto the road again when the car's gone. It seems so stupid. Not stupid is the wrong word. It seems such a simple thing to think about, but so many people don't do it. And that's why you see so many rabbits dead on the road.
Yeah, exactly that, It's quite interesting. I mean, we did that whole episode that we talked about trends. And, we went through some stuff in the past kind of decade, things like Google changing their algorithm, Twitter changing their platform, Facebook pages changing the reach, and all this kind of stuff. And it's caught people out.
Yeah.
It actually stopped businesses dead in their track.
Yeah.
Because they didn't adapt and they didn't change. And the pandemic's in the same thing where, people were relying on foot traffic and stuff like that. And all of a sudden it stopped, and that's it.
Just change.
And it's like, and I guess people, we said about this as well, about people going all in on the likes of Clubhouse, and it just, it was great during the pandemic.
Yeah, exactly.
But now people kind of getting back to things. They don't have all that time to just sit there and listen to people talk and stuff like that. It's like, we just need, things like, for instance, this podcast, is we know, okay, look, we're going to be, less than an hour, but we're going to cover some interesting stuff that is going to benefit you within business. Well, if you have no interest in business or anything like that, this podcast isn't going to be for you. It's like, So it's like, we do these things like that, but with the likes of Clubhouse, is that you go into a room to check it out, you could be in there for 20 minutes and then realize it's not for you. And it's like, how many times can you do that a day and still be productive and do things, But I guess as well with that, with things changing, I guess we can look at actually catching on to trends or making the most of something that happens. I mean, I'm not sure how you make the most of the fuel shortage and stuff like that, or it's not even a fuel shortage, right? It's just
it's a panic.
Talking about the drivers and that, I mean, some of the stuff that I've seen, it just says, look, everything would be fine if people weren't queuing up. If the demand, the supply is fine, but the demand is now outweighing the supply because people are panicking and stuff like that. But I was talking to a guy actually. He said, "Oh, I can't get any diesel for love nor money where I am. Everywhere's gone. He said, I even thought about just speaking to the person at the garage and saying, look, here's my number. Give me a call when you're expecting a delivery. I'll give you 50 quid. And I was like, maybe that's a play.
Yeah, that's right.
Just charging extra and stuff like that. But we get into a whole different territory there. But
it's interesting. It's something we were talking about there, wasn't it? And but just before I come on to that, I'm just going to mention that I do like rabbits. I don't go around driving over rabbits. I do love rabbits. It's okay.
You've already branded yourself now.
I have now, haven't I?
Wants to run over rabbits.
But it's interesting. We were talking, weren't we, about about when you have what you don't want in business, and this sounds a bit counterintuitive to a certain extent, but it's not. What you don't want in business and marketing is you don't want massive queues waiting to be able to get to your service or your product, because they'll, as we've seen and we've heard about, they're going to get frustrated. Things are going to break out. They're going to decide that they don't want it. They're going to try and go somewhere else. They're going to get annoyed. What you want is that you want to be able to, if there's a demand there, you want to be, if there's that demand there, you want to be able to supply the demand, but you need to also be realistic in the fact that you don't want to try and be serving everybody in the world, because if everybody in the world came into your business and said, right, you couldn't service it. Even if you started taking on people, 3 or 4 people every month, you still couldn't service it. And this is the problem now with the garages, is that people, drivers, for whatever reason, they're getting really, really annoyed, stupidly so in a way, because they're the ones that are creating the problem. But because they've created such a demand that the garage forecourts and the tanker drivers and all the rest of it can't keep up with the demand. Like you said, there's no shortage. It's just that at the moment there's a huge demand and the supply isn't quick enough. And that's what you don't want in your business.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many business lessons from that. We did a webinar recently, and we were talking about, we take business lessons from movies and TV shows and all sorts. We can take different parts and be like, did you see that? And we liken it to businesses and stuff like that. But this whole thing with the garages, do you know what? There's so much there. I mean, that whole thing, we spoke before about in marketing, you need to have that kind of consistency within your marketing, that it shows that you're opening up. It shows that you're in business and people can come in when they need to and stuff like that. Whereas now, with the garages where they're shut, well, people are then going off to the next garage.
Yeah, they've lost business.
And it's like, well, do they just go to the next garage next time?
Well,
who knows? That's the thing,
Have you lost them?
And then, like, quite rightly, like you said as well, now, what you get sometimes is people go, okay, look, I want to chuck a load of money at marketing or advertising. We need to get some customers in. Let's slash our prices, or let's put together this offer or something like that. And it actually goes really well. I mean, we see so many people who talk about, their offer didn't go well and no one bought and anything like that. Sometimes you get the opposite, where it goes too well.
Yeah.
And then that's when it creates the problem there, because you get into that overwhelm, you get into that burnout, and then all of a sudden you're out of fuel, and you've got a queue of people waiting because you promised them all this fuel.
Yeah.
And they can't come in, and you're just like, well, you have to wait until I'm okay to deliver this again.
And isn't it, and what's so true, isn't it, as well, that once the trust is lost that you can't deliver a product or service, it's so easy to lose, and it's so hard, and it can take years to get that trust back.
Exactly, yeah.
And that's the problem. But as you just said, when so for example, we've got a garage up the road from us and a Sainsbury's supermarket petrol station. It's closed. Okay, so people now are not going there. Yeah. And I think there's another supermarket in Fishponds, the same thing, which is an area of Bristol, by the way. Sorry,
we've been through this.
where they've run out of petrol, and people are now going to different. Obviously, they're having to queue, going to different fuel stations. But will they go back to those supermarkets again? Maybe eventually, but that's what I'm saying. Eventually, they may trickle back in dribs and drabs, but they're not going to flood back, and so they've lost business because. I don't know. You can say mismanagement. I don't know what you can call it.
No, I mean, I think that's the thing. Is I think that there is probably a flip side of looking at it, where you just go, look, sometimes things are out of your control.
Yeah,
it's how you adapt to them. I mean, I've seen that Shell put out a post saying, look, the stuff that was on the news with the government, and stuff like that. it affects BP. We're not BP, we're Shell.
Yeah.
So yes, there is a shortage of drivers, but there always has been.
There always has been. Yeah.
And we've just, and it's our job to manage it, and we have been managing it, and everything's fine.
Yeah.
So there's no issue. And I'm just thinking as well, mate. We speak a lot on this podcast about our audience, and we say about 50% of it is in the UK, and the rest of it is in different countries. So I mean, just to kind of give a quick little background story, is that a few days ago there was something on the news that said there's a shortage of delivery drivers to bring fuel to the petrol garages, and everyone just went out to try and get petrol, and they've just used up all the petrol and diesel, and now everyone's waiting for the garages to be filled back up.
Yeah, and at the moment, as quick as they're being filled,
there's a queue. Yeah,
it's gone again. The demand is there it lasts for about an hour or two, and it's gone.
I think this is a great way, mate, of looking at it from a different angle as well. I think it was Facebook or something like that, and it's like someone's just put, I drove to this garage, they had no fuel. So I drove to that garage, they had no fuel. I went to another garage, they had no fuel. And then I tried the last garage, they had no fuel. If I would have stayed at home, I still would have had fuel. And it's like, and it's like they've gone out to try and get fuel because there's a shortage of fuel, but they've used up all their fuel trying to get it, right? And I think that there's so many ways that you can liken that to marketing and in business, is that I think sometimes so many people are looking at the next big thing, or that kind of shiny kind of magpie syndrome kind of thing, where they're looking at those shiny objects going, oh yeah, let's try a bit of that, let's try a bit of that. And they start doing something, and then they stop, and then they start doing something else, and they stop, and nothing works. And then they're just like, oh, I've tried all this kind of stuff. And it's like, you didn't really try it. You just kind of jumped from one to the next. If you would have stuck doing what you were doing, it would have been fine.
Yeah, that's right. Just not giving it time, isn't it? Just trying to, and I think that's the thing. Sometimes, again, going back to the top of the podcast today, was that you're always going to get challenges. There's always going to be things that don't work. You're always going to be, things are always going to dry up at some point for a while and come back. But first of all, you have to know that all that's temporary. So if you have a really, really good spell and your business is going well, by the same token, that's temporary. Yeah. So you better start putting money aside, or better putting things aside, so that when the winter comes, as it does, and Jim Rohn used to always point out, it's just like the seasons. Summer is great and autumn is good because you're reaping your harvest, but winter will come. And when it comes, you batten down the hatches and you have to live on reserves. But after winter, you'll get spring again. It doesn't just, it's not winter forever, unless you're in Game of Thrones. But
this is,
but after winter, you will get that time again where you can actually start, planting seed, and you can start harvesting. Eventually, start growing and harvesting again. And I think it's that thing. So those challenges will always come. And the other thing, again, coming back to, I know we've spoken about the three C's. The first one being clarity. If you've got the clarity and belief in what you're doing, you'll weather that storm. You'll find ways to just carry on doing what you do, maybe with a few tweaks, but not with jumping on and looking for another shiny object and going off on a tangent, which is actually taking you away from your core value or mission anyway. That's just madness, because you won't succeed because your passion isn't there.
Mm-hmm. I mean, totally. I think that there is such a massive thing, isn't it? That clarity that you can just go, look, I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm looking to achieve. I know the plan moving forward and stuff like that. And it's like, I think so many times people panic if something isn't quite working. Quite rightly, like you said, the seasons kind of thing is that, in business, you may have something that's working quite well, and then all of a sudden it just changes. Yeah. And then people start to panic and they go, right, okay, look, we need to do something. And one of the quickest ways that I've seen people get it wrong is that they slash prices. And all of a sudden then, like I said, you either deal with more people, or you deal with people who are maybe not necessarily your ideal customer, or the ones who are actually suitable for what you're offering. They've just come in now because it's cheaper. Yeah. And that can just cause so many more problems.
Yeah, exactly.
Then if you just, you just adapted slightly, you carried on working well to do what you needed to do, is that, I think that clarity side is probably the foundation But
Oh,
for anything,
absolutely,
anything
absolutely.
in marketing that we do, it starts off with that clarity of
Yeah,
okay, look, what's the end destination? What are we trying to achieve?
yeah,
You know, what is it we know that we can help people with and stuff like that. And it's like that clarity just in your own head just opens up then all the kind of options. I mean, man, I'll be totally honest. The amount of people that we've dealt with over the years where we sit down and it's like, right, okay, look, what is it you're trying to achieve? And they're
yeah.
just like, I don't know.
And do you know what is a bit strange to me? I guess is that these are some of these businesses have been around for years.
Mm,
They're not new. It's not like a startup, and
yeah,
you can ask a startup, well, what you're trying to achieve. Yeah, you can understand in a way that they might think, well, I'm not really sure. But these are businesses that have been going. So they say, what are you trying to achieve? You get a wishy-washy answer. You think, hang on a minute, how have you managed to keep going when you don't really know what you're doing? And because it comes down to that, when you say you don't know, when I say you don't know what you're doing, it's not because you're not skilled at what you're doing,
yeah.
but you don't know where you're going. You have no idea.
But
What, for example, going back to our vehicle, as we use the car analogy an awful lot, do you need to put on winter tires or summer tires? Or what kind of tires are you putting on? What products? Do you know what's coming ahead? You've got no idea because you've got no kind of clarity of where things are at the moment. And I think that um, it, I think that any business, any size of business as well. That's the other thing I was going to say. We've been to really big businesses that still, the bigger they come and they have more people on their board and they have more people, more employees and stuff, the more easy it is to lose their direction and their clarity
yeah,
where they're going. And again, so that's got to be really, really important. So that clarity is applicable for people to constantly revisiting, making sure that everybody is aware that this is the way, this is the kind of the, if you take the ship, this is the way, or this is the road we're driving down. We want to get to this place here. And and there's different routes to get there, but people have to be all, going in the same way.
we haven't spoke about this, and I don't know what your view is, but I think for me, what I have found a lot is if you're talking to the kind of startups or someone who's just kind of moved into, maybe going self-employed or something like that,
Yeah.
they're kind of, I can't think what the word is, but they're quite ambitious and they have these kind of massive kind of goals that
Yeah.
they're going to achieve in the next year. And we know straight away that it's going to be difficult to achieve
Yeah.
that. It's quite out of reach, The flip side is that we can go into businesses that turn over decent money, have decent products, and they're not even leveraging anything to make it work, And you start looking at, okay, like what is it you're trying to achieve? And once you kind of break down after they don't know, you ask some questions to kind of come out with it. And they're still like, they can be right up here, but they're just like down here, when they, with their expectations for what they can achieve, they're just like, oh, well, this, we might be able to get to that. We might be able to get to this. Well, like, look, we can 10x that if you follow it,
Yeah.
It's like there's so much there. It's quite interesting how the startup, whether it's naivety or whatever it is, they're hungry. It's great to have that ambition and go in and be like, yeah, okay, we're going to do this. We're going to this client, that client. We're going to make millions and all this kind of stuff.
Mm.
You get a business that is turning over millions, and they're looking at, okay, yeah, if we can grow by 4%, it's great. And it's like, well, look, we can change a couple of things here, and that's a 20% growth.
It's 20% growth. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, it's quite interesting how you would think it would be the other way around, that you do get it the other way around. Of course you do. You do get the kind of startups or the kind of sole traders who are a bit like, well, no one's going to pay me for that, or no one's going to buy this from me, at this sort of price. And then the bigger businesses are like, well, we do this, we do that because we're so and so, so we can command this price or whatever it is. But majority of the time, it's the other way around.
Yeah, that's true. And I find with the big businesses that we've dealt with, and I don't know. I know there's all sorts of reasons for this. I'm not trying to. I'm not looking at living in cloud cuckoo land, but there's all sorts of reasons for this. But you get to a lot of bigger businesses, and their goals are quite low. So they've got, like you said, we just want to increase by 3% this year, and you think, why? Why are you still not striving for, say, 10% growth, or even, why not 25% growth? And the answer might, oh, well, big £1 million business. You think, so what? You still have the influence. This is the other thing, isn't it? Going back to you were talking about, if they've got the processes and they have the clarity, they have the sort of confidence moving forward, and the back end of the processes, isn't it? That we talk about the transmission of the car. If it's all working well and the processes are good, there is no reason why they cannot continue to make 20% growth every year, because it's just getting more people into the business who are right for the business, of course. So they've got to have a decent hiring structure, but getting more people on board to be delivering that and carry on going, because there's no reason on earth why a company gets a certain level and then can't grow anymore. If their products are good and their services are good and there's still a requirement for them and there's still a market for them, or they've moved into different markets, they can still carry on growing. But there's an awful lot of people that say that for whatever reason can become complacent, and it maybe they don't want to grow anymore. But
that's it, isn't it? There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with getting to a level where you are comfortable.
Yeah.
As long as that comfort is where you want to be. I think sometimes what happens is people get to that kind of comfort level and then they kind of go, right, we've made it.
Yeah.
Right. And quite rightly, like you've said in previous podcasts, is that you're either moving forward or you're moving backwards.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it's like you can move forward at a steady pace. Of course you can.
Yeah.
Or you can accelerate and go a lot faster. But I think it does just come back to, like you were saying, with that clarity, and that confidence in what they have, what they offer and stuff like that. Because I think once you have, that clarity and that confidence in, okay, look, what we have can make a change if people do want it, and we can get to this destination. And we're confident in, all the stuff that we're doing, the processes, the procedures, all this kind of stuff. Well, look, now we can grow it. We can leverage it. We can pull more people in, add more resources and stuff like that. We even get this a lot with, I think, especially from the kind of sole trader or the new startup and stuff like that. It's always like, oh yeah, we could put some money on ads and, we can just get ads running for us and stuff like that. And then you get the bigger businesses where they'll be like, well, we don't want to lose any money on ads and stuff like that. And it's like, well, look, as we've said a number of times, ads are there to support you.
Yeah.
Once you have proof of concept to add to it, and it's like that there, you're leveraging that just the same as you would leverage then, a member of staff coming in.
Yeah.
Just exactly the same as you would leverage by buying another business.
Yeah.
Is all this kind of stuff is you're just leveraging to add to it, and this is where, I mean, we talk a lot about marketing. I talk a lot about marketing and strategic marketing. You also talk a lot about business and the kind of the psychology and the coaching behind business, where a business can get to a stage where it looks to buy another business to actually lower its costs in its fulfillment, and they make more money that way by just continuing doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
Right. What happens there is, again, once you have that clarity and that confidence, is then you have the courage to make a decision.
Yeah.
And because it's going to support you, because you have the stuff in place already.
Yeah. And coming back to, that's a classic one where when there's a huge train of the school of thought, isn't there, about you can grow by acquisition, which of course you can, absolutely. In fact, that's a very, very good method of growing. But the big pitfall is, if you don't know why you're acquiring a company and you're just doing it because I can buy this company and I can now become bigger because I bought the company.
Yeah.
But it takes on its own set of headaches and its own set of stresses. You're buying into a company which you don't know if the processes are working. You don't know actually what's going on in there. But if you buy it with the intent to say, like you said, so well, we're going to carry on doing what we do, but what we're going to do is we've now got some really good stuff. We've got some more stuff, and they've got maybe a product of theirs that we can tweak around, but we can actually lower our delivery costs. And so all of a sudden they're raising their profit margin, because they're still delivering what they do, but they get more people to deliver it, and they haven't really had to do much with retraining and stuff like that. So there's all those costs are down as well.
Exactly.
So everything has this. You've got to have clarity about everything you do. So you've got the clarity of the actual business and direction it's going. Every product, you need clarity of who it's serving. And then if you're going to go in to start looking at acquisition, then it's a clarity of a why. What? Hang on, let's think about it. We've got the money to do it. We can do it. That's great. Why are we doing this? What is the objective?
You know what? I mean, that there as well, is you may not even have the money to do it. You
No,
may
that's
have
true.
borrowed money to do it, but you're doing it because it makes financial sense. And I was just about to say, we talk a lot about, different things changing, and we talk about technology, we talk about buying habits and behaviors and stuff like that. But we also talk about how processes and procedures and stuff like that haven't changed. They're still the same. And you'll probably know more about this than what I'm about to say. And you'll probably, pick it up if I'm wrong. But there's the kind of stories about was it Carnegie, who was like the steel magnate?
They have Carnegie, yeah.
Yeah, and they purchased the railways because that's where most of their costs were going, is on transporting the steel around. So they purchased the railways. It's like it's the same story.
Yeah,
it's like that. What we have today is the same thing as different businesses buying into different businesses. I mean, Microsoft, for example, the way how they grew was just by acquiring different companies.
Exactly.
To basically take
and with that in mind, they were inquiring them to get some. They thought, okay, this is a product that we think would be really, really suitable. We don't have it, so we're going to buy a company that provides it. And I think that's a lot of their products that are now stable Microsoft products. That's how they came on, wasn't it? Visio, I think, wasn't Visio one of those where there was a company that was that was supplying stuff, and so they bought it. It's just interesting you say that, because I know it, and I can't remember that. I'm sure there's a supermarket chain in the UK where I read this a couple of days ago. I don't read the news that much, but I may be totally wrong. But I'm sure they had the same problem. They thought, we have got a supply chain problem, so we're going to buy our own fleet of delivery trucks.
Okay.
So they've a bit like Carnegie. It's kind of like, it seems a bit off on a tangent. Why are they buying a haulage company?
Yeah.
Well, they bought a haulage company because it's going to work solely for them. And it's not going to be a haulage company as in a commercial haulage company. It's going to be their haulage. And you suddenly think, oh, that's an interesting step. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think, okay, look, let's look at a few ways then for anyone listening, how they can leverage their client acquisition, their business. And I know we spoke about this. It was either the last podcast or the one before. And I said, well, there's an area where you can actually not pinch, but you can leverage other people's audiences to benefit you. So, we'll go into that with a few different examples, but the whole point here is that you can make money, just by teaming up or, having someone has that bit of a supply chain, that they're the bridge between you and the audience that you want, because there's so many client types that fit into the same kind of area that different people service.
Yeah.
And that's where you kind of get like a referral line and stuff like that. Like you might get referrals where, someone random is sending you a referral because they've had a chat down the pub with someone, and that's it. But then you get the referrals that you can leverage are the ones where there is a natural ascension.
Yeah, exactly.
There is a cross sell that can happen.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's a few different ways in which you can leverage this. I mean, you can just have those referral partners that are just doing things out of goodwill, looking to benefit their clients. It's usually quite difficult to leverage that because there's no incentive involved.
Yeah.
So you can work on like a commission basis and stuff like that. Or you can team up with people as well to. Yeah,
that's what springs to mind, isn't the whole joint ventures thing? Is that in the great Copyworks copywriting business thing that's going on. What we do there is we are write sales pages, web content, all this kind of stuff. What we don't do is PR, because PR takes a separate skill altogether, and you've got to have contacts in newspapers and contacts in press agencies. We don't have that. I've never been in that industry, but I know someone who does. So there's a joint venture going on that she does all the PR. She's quite big in the Southwest for PR. So we work with each other. She doesn't want to do copywriting. She doesn't want to do stuff for websites. She does PR as in bigging people up, I guess, and also smoothing over problems when they find out that they've got three levers on the side or something, that kind of thing. So she deals with that, but she deals with some really quite high profile people. Well, that's great, because that's, it's a good market. High profile business owners and high profile businesses, that's a great place to be. So yeah, even though you are a sole trader, or you're thinking, let's take a copywriter, for example. They may be a copywriter who's doing a little bit of this and that. Wouldn't it be great to work for this? But they're thinking, I'll never get there. Well, think about who is similar to you but not the same. So as I say, copy, you've got a PR person. I've got someone else who might deal with social media content. Again, if you're deep writing copy, that may be not what you want to be doing. So you team up with them, and all of a sudden you can start to. So you as you say, cross-selling and cross-referring, but you can leverage their network. They'll want to leverage yours, of course, because that's part of the game, isn't it? But then you have that whole collaboration and joint venture thing going that benefits everybody. That's the point, isn't it? And the customers, because the customers get the best of all worlds.
That's what I was just about to say. I mean, look, everyone does benefit with that, because I mean that there as well. I mean, look, you could offer a product to someone that it gets them a certain result, and then afterwards, well, look, they're looking for a further result. You don't deal with that, so you can refer them on to someone else, or you can be teamed up with that person where you can say, look, I've got a group of people here. They've got to this stage. They now are looking to get to the next stage, but I don't deal with that. Or we can just do a promotion together. And you can offer your products to them. I get a commission from it. So I've made a bit of money from it. You've got a whole new bunch of customers that you haven't had to pay lots of money for acquisition for. You just paid a referral fee, and the clients now are benefiting by getting the next, kind of thing. We speak a lot on the podcast. I don't know how we got onto this, but it must just be a good way of explaining it. But we say about the marathon, we say about running a marathon, and we say, well, look, not everyone starts out wanting to run a marathon or in the right shape to run a marathon. So first of all, they have to run 3 or 5K. And it's like, there could be someone who teaches people how to run, the 5K and how to get better or improve the 5K. Well, after that, they move them on to the next person to help them with a 10K or, a further sort of distance. And then maybe after that, it is the marathon one, so there's those different kind of levels. And quite rightly, like you said, with that kind of, look, writing copy and PR and stuff like that, it doesn't have to have an ascension to it. It can just be cross-sell, or as and when stuff like that comes up. And that's the great thing now with leveraging other people's audiences, is that you do have options. So you can choose, so if you had a certain promotion coming up, well, you can get a few people then to help you promote it and stuff like that. I mean, we've got this momentum builder, this bundle that we've got, where we've teamed up with the Internet Business School. We're going to do their Saturday school next week, where we're going to go on and we're going to do a session on there, and we're going to explain. We're going to explain obviously what we do, with the Pentagon of Momentum. We're going to talk about the pyramid of awareness, and we're going to give their audience something extra, to help them with what they're doing. And it's like that there is that, look, the Internet Business School, they have a group of customers or, an audience there that they've already served. That audience is hungry for more. They've teamed up with us, but we're going to go and present more to them. It's, again, like everyone's winning there.
Absolutely right.
And then that next step would be, okay, look, maybe we look at, how we can put an offer together for them or something like that. It's who knows what we can get to. But the whole point there is that, look, just look to see who has your customer.
Exactly. What was it you said? What was it you were saying? I remember you mentioned who's got my money, wasn't it?
Grant Cardone, who's got my money?
Who's got my money? That is great, because if you think about that, who's my audience? Who's got my money? And you think, well, okay, this person, so I'm person A, and this person B. Well, they're serving the audience I want to serve with something that's slightly different. So why not? Why would you go in and try and not steal the customers, to try and go into the customers when you know that they have a warm relationship with that whole network of customers there. You think, well, if I can speak to them, offer them something that's unique, offer the person who owns the network unique, something that they can work with and think, yeah, they can see a real value to their customers, then bang, you're in there. You've got a warm introduction.
Yeah.
And that is worth its weight in gold.
Yeah. I mean, there was always something I can remember that was taught within the marketing area, where it was, if you want more customers, try to get on side with an accountant. So because the accountant has a group of the customers who are businesses who are looking to grow. Right.
Yeah.
The accountant has a relationship with those people.
Yeah.
He knows which ones are open for that kind of service as well.
Yeah.
And then, or she, and then you can obviously offer them some sort of deal, where obviously then you can, if they promote to their customer base and some people take it, then maybe you pay, that commission or something like that. Yeah. Or like you said, if you have an audience already, you can say, well, look, we'll put a promotion to our audience as well about your accounting services.
Yeah, exactly right.
Everyone wins that way. Yeah. And, there's so many ways you can do that as well. Imagine you're a mechanic, you have like a garage and stuff like that, and you could team up with someone like, say, an insurance broker. So you could say, okay, look, what we'll do is every client who comes in, when they leave, we'll say, hey, you know what, have a chat with, so and so, who's the insurance broker. They help a lot of our customers out with, getting great premiums and stuff like that. Who knows where that goes, vice versa as well.
Yeah.
If an insurance broker is locally and they're dealing with a local clients, straight away there's a promotion for servicing or something like that.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's endless, isn't it? The possibilities are huge. Once you just, again, it's thinking outside the box or throwing the box away, whatever you want to call it. But it's a thinking that stop thinking about this is what I can do. So but if I team up with someone else, this is what we can do. Mm-hmm. And then and then if you team up with a third person, it can become, you can make it too complicated, but you can say, right, okay, if we deliver all this. So it's interesting you're talking about actually about the marathon running. So I remember I know a coach who trains marathon runners, and I don't know much about the times of marathon runners, but he trains marathon runners to improve who are winning marathons all the time.
Wow.
Or getting close to winning marathons,
to
improve their time by 1 or 2 seconds. All right. So he has got such a tiny niche. Yeah. Now, wouldn't it be great if you were a coach, a running coach, getting people to say get into marathons again, to run marathons, to be able to say to someone, you know what, if you really want to improve your times, I can really offer you this person's advice. Yeah. You've got a kind of a joint venture going, and all of a sudden you go up in the credibility of your runners, if you like, because they say, wow, that's a great service. Yeah, I want to improve just 2 or 3 seconds. I want to just be winning them, not 1 every 3. I want to be winning every one. Say, well, that's the person you need to speak to. And and that's the kind of thing, as we were talking about, isn't it? It's that ascendancy. So you've done this and you've done this. Now the next step is you're winning marathons on a regular basis, but wouldn't you like to win every one? Well, here's the person.
Exactly that. I mean, there's so much there, isn't there? And I think that whole kind of thing of getting started, or if you're at a stage where you're like, okay, look, we want to bring in more customers, the easiest way to do it is to team up with someone who already has that audience.
Yeah.
And it's I think it's that tactic that is overlooked, so often, because it doesn't necessarily cost anything, or initially it doesn't cost anything, and you can actually get involved and make this happen quite quickly.
Yeah.
But what we will say is that there is a bit of a pitfall. So what you should avoid is that I've seen this quite a lot, mate. I think we even get it sometimes as well, where we get a message coming through saying we can help your customers with this, and it's like for one, don't even think your offer is that great.
Exactly. Yeah.
For 2, what's in it for us?
Yeah.
3, what's really in it for our customers? You're just trying to get more money. from it. And there's lots of different things that you see out there with this. So I guess the whole reason I'm saying is that if you are going to pitch, then look at it as what's in it for the person,
Yeah.
and what's in it for their customers as well.
And exactly, I would also think about they have a level of integrity with their customers that they don't want to breach. So they don't want to bring any old Tom, Dick, and Harry along to possibly cause that integrity to be rocked. So they're going to be, if you approach somebody to say, look, I think I could help your customers by offering this, and this is how it can benefit you. And I think it's that kind of thing. So understanding that the level of integrity. So what you can deliver, you can deliver support, you can deliver really good trust, expertise, and being able to prove to that person first that this is what you're coming with, so that person, let's say an accountant, for example, can say, yeah, okay, I can see how that could benefit them. So yeah, I don't mind doing it, because one thing about accountants, I know they're very, very cagey at letting anybody get to their clients.
As I was going to say as well, that it was a thing that was taught, years back. I can remember being taught that, yeah, okay, look, accountants are great to speak with, because they have your audience. Yeah, no accountant is going to give you, access to the book or anything.
You've got to have something that's really, really good and special for that.
And I think that this is the point I'm trying to get at here, is that look, if you have proof of concept, if you've already helped loads of people and stuff like that, it makes really good sense.
Yeah.
If you don't have it and there's nothing really that you're bringing to the table, you may have a great service or product and stuff like that, but no one really knows that. So if all you're bringing to the table is that, you have to show something extra, right? You said that integrity there is big. So you can't just offer a shed load of money, because only so many people will take that, and they're probably not the ones you want. But what you can do is you can showcase what you can do.
So
just like that with an accountant, you can say, look, this is the kind of stuff we do. I would love to show you it.
Yeah, exactly.
How it would work in your business.
Yeah.
And then obviously if you're impressed by what you see, then you can quite honestly recommend us to your audience then and stuff like that. But it's talking then about integrity as well. I think sometimes there are different schemes that go on that you definitely need to avoid. And there's ones where it's sort of like syndicates. What happens is that it will be like a syndicate where it will say, okay, look, so-and-so is going to create a product and put it out this week, and all of you are going to promote it and say how great it is. And then next week, the different person is going to put out their kind of product, and everyone's going to jump on and say how great it is. And it's like they've never used it or anything like that. I've seen it. I've seen it the other month as well. And it's like there's this product going around on Facebook, I think it was, and it was all about passive income. It was all about you need to make passive income, and I do this and I make passive income and I travel all around the world and don't work and all this kind of stuff. And you should buy so-and-so's course because they're going to teach it to you. And it's like, well, they've never done the course. They've never done any of this. They've never got involved in anything, but it's just because they're in the syndicate and they're just bigging each other up. And it's like, from the outside, that may seem like a good idea, but it's just all false.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it's like, what happens there is like, if you listen to anything that we've ever spoke about within the podcast and stuff like that, it's just like, whenever something is false or there's no real substance behind it, it isn't scalable. It isn't sustainable. So what happens is you get a short burst, and then going back to that whole kind of thing, like with the petrol station as well, is that, okay, look, you promised the earth, you can't fulfill it, and then people go elsewhere.
Exactly. Yeah, and it could actually be, it could end up harming you really badly. Yeah, it's a difficult one, isn't it? Because they definitely work. Joint ventures definitely work.
Joint ventures are great. Yeah,
but you have to be careful. You have to really pick and choose. And if you've got someone approaching you for a joint venture, there's a lot of things you have to think about long and hard. And the first thing, like you said, is, okay, show me what you've got and how it can benefit me, but most importantly, my customers. And if you're not convinced at the end of it, it doesn't matter how hard they're going to try after that. You shouldn't go any further with it. Because if they can't convince you fairly early on that this is going to be a good fit, then that's when you should say, I'm not really sure about this. and pass on it. And by the same token, if you approach someone else, you got to be prepared for that. So you got to make sure that the product or the service that you can offer is really going to complement theirs, and show that person how it's going to complement and be an extra bow in their quiver, of their arrows, so that they can be offering their clients even more. Because ultimately, you should be in business to offer value to clients.
That's it, isn't it? I think that's the big thing. It's summing it all up. That is exactly it, isn't it? You need to be able to add value.
Yeah.
So once you add value and you can show that you add value, it all becomes a lot easier. I think I've gone around the garden to get to the gate on that one. But with all what I'm saying, I think you've kind of summed it up right. Is that all you're looking at there is that, can someone add value to you and your customers? Can you add value to them and their customers?
Yeah.
If that's the case, then yes, it makes sense to proceed.
Yeah.
And that there is a massive shortcut in growing your business or getting to a stage that you're quite comfortable within your business. And it's just like, just be aware of scams and stuff like that are out there. And if it's too good to be true, normally is.
And we said this on our webinar yesterday, didn't it? Here's a little spoiler for you if you haven't seen it. Is that we said that if you chase the money, you never catch it.
Yeah.
If you just go out to chase money, you might catch a few dollars or pounds or whatever, euros, but you're never going to catch the big stuff, because really, if you've got the value, that big stuff is going to come to you. You're going to attract it by offering your value out to people. But if you go around chasing money, people are going to soon get bored of you, and they're just not going to be there.
You see it all the time, don't you? I mean, people jump from one thing to the next.
Yeah.
It's one minute they're an expert in this, and the next minute they're an expert in that, and then they're an expert in this thing as well. And every time it's because they've got some sort of product that you should buy from them.
Yeah.
It's never a case of they're an expert just because they love doing what they do.
That's the difference, isn't it? And I think that's huge as well, because I think it's when someone does, either if you pitch to someone else as a joint venture, or somebody pitches to you as a joint venture, you can quickly tell whether they're really passionate about what they do.
Yeah.
And if they're not passionate about what they're doing, you have to ask yourself the question, so why are you doing? I know somebody. He's a cost reduction specialist. Okay, he's absolutely passionate about reducing costs in business. And you talk to him. You only got to talk to him for about 10 minutes, and you just think, "Wow, this guy's on fire." And it's kind of the most boring title for any kind of business, a cost reduction specialist. You think, "Oh, really?" But he knows the value that he can give people immediately, different whatever size company, through buying syndicates and all this kind of stuff, through where people conglomerate and buy from a supplier and get the best prices. And he's got all that buttoned down as well. But he's not just that's not just, he'll actually go in and analyze and really, really work with you to understand, even if it's saving a tenner or £15 or dollars or whatever. To him, that's brilliant. He loves it. He absolutely loves it. Now, it's not a job for me, but hey, that for an accountant, that would be a brilliant. Accountant might think, God, I don't really want to wade through all that stuff. So here's a cost reduction specialist.
Yeah.
Bang,
It is interesting, isn't it? I mean, you're talking, and I'm like, it's exactly the same thing with us doing this podcast, talking about business and marketing and growth and all that kind of stuff. Is that we love it. We talk about it all the time.
Oh,
that's why we do the podcast. And like we said, the whole kind of fuel thing, the pandemic, whether it's a movie, whether it's a TV show or whatever it is, we're taking snippets out of it and having conversations between it. Did you see this? You see how that likens to that and all this kind of stuff? And someone listening to this podcast that they are really interested in growing their business and, basically looking at things in a different way, they're going to be, this makes perfect sense. I love listening to this. But someone who doesn't have a business or they have no interest in business, they listen to this for a few minutes and they're just like, oh God, what are these two droning on about?
Exactly.
It's like, but that's the thing, is that passion is there. We love it. And I'll be honest as well. I mean, there's probably over the years, there have probably been so many times that I've had a conversation with someone that I could have signed them up to be a customer there and then, but I ended up just having a conversation with them and showing them what to do. By having a chat, because once I get into it, I'm into it. It's like, I'm not going, okay, show me the money. I'm just there going, okay, how do we solve this for you?
And you know, this is what this is so such a problem for coaches. And I'm not picking on coaches. I'm a coach as well, but and I understand so many coaches. So many coaches don't have a real business and don't have a real income, because what happens? They're so passionate about their coaching, is that when they have a conversation with somebody, they're coaching them. They're giving away all their expertise, which is absolutely admirable, absolutely fantastic. But the problem is it doesn't put food on your table. You're giving away everything for free, and the person laps it up, and I've done that. I've done this exactly the same as you have. I've done this in the past. I've had an hour's one-to-one with someone, coach them fantastic about how to grow their business. Never heard of them again. And you think, why aren't they responding to my calls? You think, well, because actually they picked your brains and they went away and said, thank you very much.
And you know what? Like, I think two things happen there as well. Whereas I think either they picked your brains, they've got enough to get on with that they just think they can do it themselves.
Yeah.
Or, because they're not at that level of how you're thinking to do things. Yeah. There's just so much overwhelm where they're like, I don't even know where to start now.
Yeah, it's true.
And they've gone. But I mean, look, we'll be totally honest. We'll wrap things up here. But, being totally honest, I mean, this is what we've done with our services, is we've streamlined it into 3 different services. There's different training and stuff that you can buy and, watch that training on demand. But there's 3 services that we put together. And, this one we've mentioned a few times, Momentum Builder. We put a bundle together that really has everything that you would ever need. It's got the support, it's got the training, the coaching, everything like that. And we've just put it at an affordable fee, either being monthly or being yearly. And we've just gone, look, you pay the fee, we know you're serious.
Yeah,
you get access to us and all what we're doing. And it's like, that way there we benefit, because we're making some money and stuff like that, but we know then that the person's serious.
Yeah,
but they can also then lean on as much as they need to, and get stuff done and get stuff done quicker and stuff like that. But it just makes it makes that part so much easier now.
Yeah,
instead of it being a case of, right, okay, like, how can we help that person? What kind of price is it going to be? What do we need to do? It's just like, look, it's a flat fee. Everyone pays the same.
Exactly. You've got it. Yeah. And it's monumental. Everybody who's listening, it's monumental.
Definitely check it out. Look, I mean, we put it on an amazing. I was going to say an insane. It is insane. An insane, amazing introductory rate to basically just reward action takers and just be like, yeah, look, once you get in, you'd always pay that amount. So, take advantage. We'll put some information, whether you're listening or watching this, in the description, in the comments. There will be a link for you to check it out. But yeah, I think you know what? We'll wrap things up here.
Okay.
And I think, whenever we do a podcast, I'm always thinking, what are we going to talk about next time? Right. And I'm not sure if anything kind of, came out. I think what we probably will do is update people on the fuel situation. I know our listeners overseas are going to be worried about us, but what we will say, I think what I reckon we should talk about is, we had the webinar, a couple of, not the last one we did, but the one before, and we did a podcast episode where we talked about it, and we said about, there was this question about what one thing do you need to get right, or where do you really start? And you were talking about the messaging, and I was talking about the offering, right? Yeah. I think we should talk about that again, because I think this thing has been on my mind since we discussed it, and everything comes back to that.
Yeah, it does.
Everything, like, that starting point is constructing that offer and how you present that.
Yeah,
right. Those two together is the starting point for anything. Because if you don't have that, you're not going to get any customers. You're not going to have a business, because people are looking to buy something, right? So you have to show them that you have the solution to what they want, and you have to. It's the word I'm looking for, like articulate.
Yeah,
that across, and I think that there is we should spend the whole episode talking about that and getting into it.
Yeah. So, and in fact, that fits in really nicely, doesn't it, with the pop thing, doesn't it?
Yeah,
the positioning and the
positioning, offering, and process. You get that right. Kind of. Yeah, I mean
constructing and presentation of it. I think that's a good message.
Maybe we had another P into that. But yeah, we'll discuss that on the next episode then. Yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah,
absolutely.
right.
Right.
Let's
Yeah.
wrap it up here then, mate. It's always been a
Okay.
pleasure.
Indeed.
That's it.
Yeah.
We'll catch you next time.
Indeed. Okay. Cheers, everybody.
See you then.